Merrill, I believe this kid's the future of this football team. Do you?
I do. I absolutely do. And I think I've heard writers, I've read things that they've written, and they've questioned his arm strength. Dan, he throws lasers. He's got a terrific arm. He needs to work a little more on his accuracy from inside the pocket, and that's new to him. But he's doing it more and more. I don't know if you saw the game against the Chargers 3 weeks ago, the game they lost. He threw a dart right into the smallest window to Devontae Smith for a 30-plus yard gain. I mean, he gets better and better every week. He's got an above-average NFL arm, not just an NFL arm, an above-average NFL arm. And some people say, well, let's see how he does when he has to throw more than 20, 22 passes a game. Let me tell you, if they get into a situation like that, his arm is going to be fine. He's going to surprise a lot of people, but he gets better and better. And what you just said, he's a winner. He's a winner. He's driven. And he's a leader. He's a tremendous leader. Everybody on this team feels that way about Jalen Hurts. I think, this is me, not Howie Roseman, so I don't know what the organizational thinking is, but in terms of my estimation, he is the quarterback of the future.
Welcome back, National Football Show. Your boy Dan Sileo. Guys, please do me a favor, and you've been hitting it. I try to get to 100 likes by the end of the program. We do 2 hours. Please bang on that like button. We so appreciate it when you do. Thank you so much. By the way, Merrill Reese will join us here in a couple seconds, a legendary voice of the Philadelphia Eagles. May I please, and we bring in our friend and legendary voice of the Philadelphia Eagles. He is our friend. It's Merrill Reese. And Merrill, I hope you had a spectacular Thanksgiving. And when the Cowboys lose and there's food, I'm assuming it was a good day in the Reese household.
Well, it was a good day for the Eagles in terms of having a chance to, at some point, catch the Cowboys. Although I tell people just hold on a little bit. All this means is that the NFC East is not the lock it appeared to be about 3 weeks ago. That's all it means. But the Cowboys are still very much in command.
Absolutely. Merrill, I had Gary Cobb on a couple days ago, and he and I can't believe what we're watching. Merrill, for you, first 4 games of the season for the Eagles versus the last 4 games, what has been the difference in your view watching this football game as they're growing and moving forward?
Well, I just think they're growing. I think you used the right word. They're growing. Listen, players play very little in the preseason. It's not the way it used to be when Dick Vermeil brought 120 people to camp and they had 6 preseason games. Now Jalen Hurts had 6 snaps, a total of 6 snaps in the entire preseason. The training camp was light. They did have dual workouts with the Jets and Patriots, but it's not the same as a game. So the team had to grow. Really, if you look at Jalen Hurts, he started 4 games last year. He started 11 this year. So he's basically, in terms of play, he's basically a rookie. And I think if he actually was a rookie, he'd be the NFC Rookie of the Year. That's how well he's playing. But they've had to get used to him. They've had to adjust the offense to fit his skill set. I think he's done very, very well.
You bring up Jalen, and I'm going to make a comparison that I've been making a comparison with Jalen. He reminds me of Steve McNair, Merrill, in the way that he plays the game. Not always the highest completion percentage, and it was unconventional in what we were watching, but the number one thing that he moved beside the chains was the one loss column. And when you're watching something like this, it's almost a 2.0 version of what we're seeing in Baltimore. They're winning a boatload of their games, and I happen to agree with you. And I'm going to give you some stats here. Jalen Hurts is on pace for 3,600 passing yards, 970 rushing yards, 23 touchdowns to 6 picks, 92 quarterback rating. For a guy like myself who wasn't sold on him at the beginning of the year, and Pamela Ertz asked me if I was a hater at the beginning of the year, and I told her, I go, no, I just was a non-believer. Merrill, I believe this kid's the future of this football team. Do you?
I do. I absolutely do. And I think I've heard writers, I've read things that they've written, and they've questioned his arm strength. Dan, he throws lasers. He's got a terrific arm. He needs to work a little more on his accuracy from inside the pocket, and that's new to him. But he's doing it more and more. I don't know if you saw the game against the Chargers 3 weeks ago, the game they lost. He threw a dart right into the smallest window to Devontae Smith for a 30-plus yard gain. I mean, he gets better and better every week. He's got an above average NFL arm, not just an NFL arm, an above average NFL arm. And some people say, well, let's see how he does when he has to throw more than 20, 22 passes a game. Let me tell you, if they get into a situation like that, his arm is going to be fine. He's going to surprise a lot of people, but he gets better and better. And what you just said, he's a winner. He's a winner. He's driven. He's a leader. He's a tremendous leader. Everybody on this team feels that way about Jalen Hurts. I think, this is me, not Howie Roseman, so I don't know what the organizational thinking is, but in terms of my estimation, he is the quarterback of the future.
You know, I'm going to get to Howie here in a second, but I want to go to Sirianni here now. And I'm going to lay it out because these have been the tale of two seasons almost wrapped in one here, Merrill. I mean, you know, Nick Sirianni at the beginning of the year, I'm doing this. This guy's a one and done guy. I just don't see it. I think the locker room is leaving him, and all of a sudden they decide to make a commitment to running the ball. And all of a sudden I see the players charge. I saw Mailata on the sidelines against the Saints, picking up his quarterback, pushing the D lineman around. Don't touch our guy. It was that it was that lunch pail mentality. I got to tell you, the reason that the players, I think, Merrill, started galvanizing themselves around Nick Sirianni is because his willingness to adapt. They went from those RPOs to running the ball. They changed it up on defense, which means to me as a former player, this coaching staff listens. I'm falling in love with Nick Sirianni here and how he's running this team. Are you?
He's a very, very bright guy. He's a very, very easy guy to like. He's down to earth. The players they were never in danger of leaving him, Dan. It's a new coach coming in, and it's a wait and see type process. Don't forget, Andy Reid came in here and he was 0-5 when he started. Dick Vermeil, who I think is the greatest coach they've ever been around, he was 0 for something his first year. I mean, 0-4, 0-5. They didn't win very, very quickly. But what we're seeing is a coach growing along with his team. Don't forget, he is a first-time head coach. Andy Reid had an advantage in that he came here with Rod Dowhower, a former NFL head coach and Stanford head coach, as his offensive coordinator, and a veteran defensive coordinator by the name of Jim Johnson, who really should be in the Hall of Fame, but that's time for another discussion because I believe coordinators should be in the Hall of Fame. But he came with an experienced staff. Dick Vermeil, the same thing. Here is Nick Sirianni, and he's brought in a lot of bright coaches, but they are young coaches. They're first-time coordinators. But look, they're growing as a staff. They're doing a good job, and this team is getting better and better. And they're 5-6 right now, and very much in the hunt. But you know, if they lose to the Giants, all that stuff goes out the window, and it's fire Nick and where are they going from here and who's your quarterback? You know how fans are. They're great, passionate football fans. But this is a dangerous game for them because the Giants, if you look at the Giants roster, they've got talent. Daniel Jones may turn it over too much, but he's a dangerous quarterback. With his arm, we've seen him run 50 yards against the Eagles. He tripped over a yard line, but he can take off. They've got receivers that can burn you. Saquon Barkley can break one at any time. They've got some good defensive players. They are a dangerous team despite their record.
And I've said this before, Merrill, when I was in the league and I was just realizing what you just said. We're playing against Lindy Infante back in the day, the old Green Bay Packer coach, right? And these guys had won only 4 games. I'm like, oh, these guys suck. We'll kill these teams. I get in there and I'm like, holy cow, they beat us by 10. And I'm going like, man, the difference in this league is probably 20 plays a game and the closeness of everything in the league today. I mean, The difference between a 7-win team and a 10-win team is probably 20 plays. In your time covering the league, have you ever seen the league so competitive like this?
No, I haven't. And last week, one of the things people were saying is Tennessee might be the best team of all. And then they lost to Houston. They lost to Houston. And look, I love David Culley, but he's got a tough job there without the quarterback that he could have had, without a talented roster. But still, it was Houston beating Tennessee, who looked like the team to beat. Going into the season, a lot of people figured that Buffalo was going to make it from the AFC, and they have stumbled. Now, they won last night, but they have not had an easy going. It's been tough. Tampa Bay, how about the games they've lost?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a very balanced league. Just when you are ready to anoint a team as the best in their division or the best in their conference or the best in football, they slide backwards. There is no team right now that I can sit here and say they are going to the Super Bowl, because none of us really know.
How about this, Merrill? You know, I've been covering the Eagles from 30,000 feet, and now I'm kind of looking the team in the eye, and I'm covering it more on a daily basis. I said the same crap that everybody else did about Howie Roseman, but follow me here. So this dude has 11 draft choices in the 2022 draft. He most likely will be $50 million under the salary cap. His quarterback that he traded up for, I said it last week, he is a second rounder, and everybody in Philly said, that guy's not a second rounder. Hell, if you put that guy in the draft this year, he may be a middle to end first round draft choice. So you're talking about value that has increased itself because of the play. He goes out and re-signs Mailata, Sweat, Edwards. He goes out and puts Goddard. All these guys now are on second-year contracts. The Darius Slay move. Now, look, I get the Riegers of the world, and every general manager is not 100% on draft choices or free agents. But Merrill, I didn't think moving off of Doug or moving off of Wentz, who's playing great in Indy, but I didn't know if that – I got to tell you, Howie has done a hell of a job here, man. If this thing, like you say, Giants and Jets, don't lay down against us. But, man, I got to tell you, man, I think Howie Roseman's done a hell of a job with this football team over the last few years.
Well, I'll give you a great move. How about you're standing sixth in the draft, and the player you really want is Devontae Smith, and he manages to move from 6th to 12th and pick up a first-round draft pick from the Dolphins, and then move back to 10 and get Devontae Smith, who he wanted to begin with. And that's a great draft pick. And then even if you go back and it didn't ultimately work out, but the drafting of Carson Wentz, where he gave up Byron Maxwell and Kiko Alonso and ends up trading with Cleveland and moves into the second spot and gets Wentz, who had a great rookie year and a great second year. He was probably the MVP of the league if he hadn't suffered the knee injury in Los Angeles. So to get that now, it didn't go well from there on in. But the way Carson Wentz started out here, he was a great draft pick.
Merrill, have you ever seen us? Couple last questions for you, Merrill. Have you ever seen and covered a team like this that it's been so cardiac? Like, remember the old Cleveland Browns? They were called the cardiac kids. Have you ever seen anything like this where a team has just completely changed, or where maybe Merrill, I'm wrong, and that they didn't have an identity early on, and maybe now they just found it? Because I don't think I've ever seen a team just change their identity without making any player moves. Well, have you ever seen an Eagle team that you've ever covered that has ever gone through this transformation in front of you like this so quick?
Not so much stylistically or schematically, but when you're talking about teams, how about a couple of years ago, not last year, but the year that Doug's next to his last year, when this team was dead in the water and then won all those conference games at the end and made the playoffs. That was a pretty big comeback. And a lot of those games were last-second games that they pulled out. But things have changed. Interesting word, identity, because somebody at the media conference, we sit in the tent outside freezing these days, but nobody goes inside. In fact, would you believe I haven't met anybody from the last 2 years?
I can't believe that,
no access
Merrill.
for any of us. We can't.
It's crazy.
No access. We're still not traveling with the team. But aside from all of that, a week ago, at his media briefing, Jalen Hurts was asked about the identity of this team. And Jalen Hurts said, the identity of this team is not whether you throw it or run it. The identity of this team is a bunch of guys who arrive at practice each day determined to be better than they were the day before. A bunch of guys who really like each other, who really pull for each other, who come in and they have a winning attitude. They're prepared to do anything it takes to put this team in position to win each week. He said that is the true identity of this team. You talk to Jalen Hurts. He had a great game against Kansas City. He had a pretty good game against the Chargers. He didn't want to talk about that when asked about his performance. He said, "We lost. That's how I feel about it. We lost. You win or you lose, we lost." And when he wins, he said, "We win." He doesn't take any credit for himself. He really doesn't. But he goes out there, and that's why his teammates love him.
Finally here, you know how many people have come on our show? We get a bunch of people now, and all the Eagle fans are now watching us. And you know what they say? It's fun to root for this team. It's a lunch pail team. It's a blue-collar team. And it's kind of like the city, isn't it? This is the kind of team that you kind of want to root for because, again, like you said, Merrill, you got a quarterback that just wants to go to work and win ball games. You got a defense that just wants to make plays. You got an offensive line. It's not fancy. It's just lining up 50 times, running people over. This is kind of like the identity of Philly, and I think that's why you're seeing fans at the Link cheering for this thing.
You know, Dan, they may be one of the top 3 offensive lines in the National Football League. They have a great coach in Jeff Stoutland, but you look at them left to right, and they're missing their starting guards. I mean, Brandon Brooks is out. Siamalo's out. And young guys have come in and they're doing the job. Landon Dickerson, what a great guy he's had to be able to put in there at left guard. And Mailata, to think that they drafted him in the 7th round and he had never played a football game in his life. And I want to tell you something, maybe not this year, but he's going to have a long run of Pro Bowl appearances. He is a dominating offensive lineman. He's a terrific player. And Lane Johnson had his problems earlier, went away, came back with a fresh feeling, and he has had, I don't think he's ever had a better season. And Jason Kelce, I mean, every year he says, well, I've got to decide whether I want to come back. He's been great. He has played at his absolute peak. This is a heck of an offensive line, and you know, as the lines go, so go the teams. I mean, it all starts with who's pushing who backwards or who's getting through the other team's front 4. You know, that's what it's all about. It starts at the lines, and that's where the Eagles' greatest strength is.
I'm going to leave you with this. That kid Kelce is the best center I've seen since Kevin Mawai. And that means he's a Hall of Famer. I could not believe him skip. I could not believe in the last game I saw him get out on the edge, slip up on the linebacker, and then scoop up on a cornerback. And I'm sitting there going like this. This guy's in his 11th year doing that. That's insanity to see somebody doing that. Merrill, he's a Hall of Famer. I didn't think he was until I watched him. He's a Hall of Fame center.
Oh, he is. Yeah, you know what makes Nick so likable? He was asked about that block, and he said the only other person he saw throw that block was Billy Bob in Varsity Blues.
Hey, Merrill, have a great call against the Giants. Thank you so much on this Turkey Friday doing this going into the weekend. Thank you, my friend.
Always nice to see you, Dan. Take care. Have a great weekend.
Great. Happy holiday to you, too. We'll take a brief time out. Craig Carton at the top of the hour, live from New York. You keep it right here on the National Football Show.